Despite all my rage, I am still just a bat in the cave. Yeah, the DSLR has definitely cleared up my booger game. So welcome in. Hello, Jerome's. What is going on? We are currently an hour away from kickoff. Vikings-Lions, week 14, getting it on. Minnesota Vikings are 8-4. Congratulations. Great job, everyone. And we're trying this up. So before we got put into YouTube jail, we actually experimented. Not experimented. I just got off my lazy ass and started streaming. So we got that going for us. So now just to do a little bit more hashtag content and to give you guys a little bit more options from the traditional ball and chain establishment media, we're going to do a pregame show as well as we'll do a brief halftime just about things show. So we'll try that out today. If you guys like it, we'll keep doing it. If not, we won't. Or if I find it boring, maybe we won't. Anyway, but we're on YouTube as well as we're on the Twitch stream right now. I'm figuring out a way to do OBS that will stream to Facebook as well. So if you're a Facebook Jerome, Mazel Tov, but also we'll get to you in a bit. All right, so pretty sure there was soap in that, so that's not great. But anyways, we got the YouTube chat fired up. What's going on, everyone? Also, if you want to do those questions will surely be answered in the little pregame chat preamble that we got going on. All right, so let's dive into some of this. So, looking at inactives, actually, I want to know what the hell was going on here. Because I wonder if I got soap in the cup or if my Keurig has soap in it. Either way, I'm a little distraught. But see, I'm one of those douchebags that carry around a gallon of water. See, you won't get this level of professionalism from Fox 9 pregame show, that's for sure. All right, so Vikings week 14 inactives. Adam Thielen is out. Hercules Vanda Afa, sit down. Same thing with I don't know what is going on with those two, as well as Oli Udo, Aviante Collins on the offensive line, plus Drew Samia is taking a seat as well. Surprise active is Riley Reef, where he had been out, not out, but he had been out of practice with concussion that he suffered in the Seattle game. So it is a positive to have him back in, but also got to be careful with concussions, especially you look at guys like Trey Waynes, you look at guys like Josh Klein who have had multiple concussions. Trey Waynes had 2 last year. Josh Klein's already had 2 this year. That could be a little rough. That could be a little rough. So, all right. So those are inactives. Dive into some of the, if you have any questions, pregame, toss YouTube chat here. We got a bunch of jabronis hanging around. Not jabronis. We got Jerome's. You know what's up. Let's see here. What's your Twitch username? Purple FTW1, I believe. Yeah, twitch.tv /purple FTW1. You'll find us on there. We should be streaming on there right now. Actually, let me check to make sure that we are, because I'm good at technology. Yep, we're streaming on there as well. I got a couple peeps over there as well. Quincy asked, do you guys think Adam Thielen is playing? Nope. He is inactive today. And, the whole cover-up of the Thielen's hamstring gate where, here's the thing that we found out about Zimmer. Don't believe a word that comes out of his mouth, essentially. Where Zimmer talking last week about how Adam Thielen did not have a setback with his hamstring, but we're just going to keep him out of the Seattle game as well as the Detroit game. Baloney. Tuesday practice, he had a little and sent him back down. And yeah, you do think that you can beat the Lions pretty handily. Maybe that's a little bit verbose. Remember what happened last time the Vikings were 10-point favorites at home. They had to have a miraculous, amazing comeback against the lowly Denver Broncos, who are actually a little bit better than advertised. But again, whatever there. But the fact that Thielen did not go in the Seattle game, the biggest game of the year, you have a competitive type A personality like Adam Thielen is, there's something wrong. There is something absolutely wrong with that hamstring, and he's out again. So we'll see if he's back in next week. Let's see here. If the Vikings beat, Sam Klein asked, if the Vikings beat the Packers and we take the division, who would be the team the Packers will most likely lose in their remaining schedule? Probably Chicago, because I believe they have to go to Chicago. Let's actually look that up. But at a glance, we looked at the various tiebreakers that would go into the record, namely the division crown if the Vikings and Packers ended up with the same record, namely in division record. So having 2 losses already on the tableau, and then Packers are currently undefeated in the division, and then if they lose to the Bears and the Vikings, that would have 2 losses as well. Then it goes to common opponents record, and I believe the Packers have a point. So basically, if the Vikings want to win the division and not have it go to the judges' scorecards and the tiebreakers, they need to get at least a game up on the Packers. So they actually need the Packers to lose multiple games. The Vikings need to win out. Yep, they have to go to Chicago. I mean, Washington has not been bad recently. Bill Callahan. Did you know that Jay Gruden was fired? It seems like 3 years ago, but Bill Callahan has actually gotten that team playing some decent ball. They've won 2 in a row. They beat the Lions at home. They went into Carolina and won, but yeah, that was a game that got Ron Rivera fired. Like if you lose to Washington, you're fired. That should be what it is. Let's see. They actually played the Vikings pretty tough on that Thursday night game. They played the Niners to a 9-0 game. Of course, that was in a monsoon. They lost pretty big to the Bills, blew into the Jets. But I mean, overall, like this Washington team with rookie Dwayne Haskins has been a little bit plucky. So I think they're 7.5-point dogs. Actually, no, it's more than that. It's got to be more than that. But I mean, if Washington wanted to do the Vikings a huge solid, just knock off the Packers just one time, that'd be pretty nice. Let's see here. Back into the chat. Gerald Smith, are you still on keto? To a degree. I certainly do enjoy myself at times, especially around the holidays, but I would say about 80% of the time, I'm on some sort of modified keto or modified Atkins. Like I'm not like a diet Nazi about things. Just keep the sugar low, eat lots of fats, keep carbs relatively low, and avoid processed foods. Eat whole foods as often as you can, and it's pretty easy. And it's not, it's not an ultra wealthy, ultra well off way of eating. It's just do what you do. Also, intermittent fasting is also really good too, except not today. I ate like an ass today. And it's not even 11. All right. Let's hear it. Yeah, I keep wanting to sip the soap coffee, except I need to just set this like way over there so I don't even think about it. All right. Gaming Code asks, why are the Vikings still starting Rhodes? I think it's because Zimmer doesn't have any better options. And also, you look at the contract that has some politics involved in it, as well as the time that Mike Zimmer has put in with the Xavier Rhodes, that has some politics involved in it as well. And maybe he doesn't deem that there are better options at the moment, because Mike Hughes, the way that he's been playing the last couple of games, certainly is a better option. I'm still optimistic about him long term, but also Holton Hill. I mean, off the suspension, I think that Zimmer is still punishing him to a degree. So I mean, who else do you get put out there? That's the point at this point. Dylan Knowles, the live stream is badass. Love to know who it is. Appreciate that. And also, it's really easy for me because all we do is we turn the camera on, and whatever happens, happens. It's like it's like most adult films. There's no editing. It's just like Gonzo style. We went too far on this analogy. Whatever. Malevolent B, why do you think we don't dress Oli Udo, Drew Samia, and other offensive linemen? Well, if you look back through Rick Dennison's time with offensive linemen, as well as Gary Kubak's to a degree, they do lean veterans. It's very rare for a rookie, like even some like mid-round drafted rookies, to really step up early in their systems. And also, something that flies under the radar, why they trust Dakota Dozier so much, is that he already has experience with Dennison because they were together last year with the Jets. And, that does have value to a degree. And also Dakota Dozier has played okay at times, but this just this precedes Dennison and Kubiak, where offensive linemen who us fans believe should get the time of day based on how they played in training camp as well as in preseason, a la Brett Jones. it just doesn't happen. So Oli Udoh, sit down. Drew Samia, who should be the great white hope, sit down. And then also Avante Collins is sitting as well. Wait, so who's actually active? Huh. I wish instead of just releasing the inactive list, they would list the active depth chart, because I feel like that would help a lot. Because you look at the names missing and you got to think about, all right, who's still currently on the roster? That whole thing. My internet. Go internet. It's your birthday. All right, so it's Dakota Dozier and Rashad Hill. All right, that makes sense. All right, I'm dressing 7 offensive linemen on game day, with Riley Reef also out. Almost was out with a concussion. There you go. Sultan Hill. Danny Miller, 89, asks, is the earth flat? Only to dumb people. Zach Hazley, what is your favorite movie? Ocean's 11. Ocean's 11 is probably my favorite movie, as well as it's very high on the rewatchable factor, where I really like the movie The Godfather, except you got to be in the right mood, to watch that entire thing, sit down for the sun, because it's a long movie. It's very slow paced, but it is a fantastic movie. Let's see what else here. Let's be up there. Oh, I like random movies like The Town. Ben Affleck directed that movie. I thought that was a great movie. Basically, any heist movie I'm in, like Heat. See what was some other. Oh, The Sting, if that counts. Yeah, that is a heist movie. Also, the Den of Thieves, with like Gerard Butler and like the creepy guy from Law and Order SVU. Also, the guy that was in 13 Hours. Also, I think was it 50 Cent was in that movie? Yeah. Also, the A-Team. The freaking A-Team with Liam Neeson and Bradley Cooper and Rampage Jackson and Charlito Copley. That was a fantastic movie. You can't tell me otherwise. Oh, also Looper. Looper's a great movie. We haven't had any more Looper references. Denny Miller, 89. Did Epstein kill himself? No. Christmas lights are like Jeffrey Epstein. They didn't hang themselves. DK asks, where do you live in Minnesota? South Metro. Let's see here. Chris Reisel, super chat. Why do you think Abdullah gets in over Boone? I think it is a veteran versus young player thing at this point. And also, I think Abdullah is a little bit better as a pass blocker, even though Mike Boone has really made strides in that arena. But I do like the future of Mike Boone as well, because he came in to college as a receiver. So he has those great receiving skills, as well as we've seen that even between the tackles, he does have a little bit of some. I think he's a great fit for the zone scheme. So I think maybe next year could be the Mike Boone breakout year. And in the meantime, he's doing really well. I think he's been active every single game this year. He's been playing some really great special teams and make him a name for himself as like a punt gunner on punt teams. So props to that. Let's see here. Paul's Doffer. Randy Moss can beat Rhodes in a wheelchair. Now, which one's in a wheelchair? I guess it doesn't really matter. Sub-dub, what position the first round should the Vikings draft? Well, I think they're going to be out of range for the premier tackles. Looking at Wirfs, look at Thomas from Georgia. So potentially cornerback. This looks like a pretty solid cornerback class yet again. Or I think they have to come away from day 1, day 2, the first 3 rounds with a combination of 3-tech offensive linemen as well as cornerback, potentially quarterback too, depending on how the board falls. Let's see here. Ben Halter, what spot do you personally think we grab? I want to say the Vikings get the 3 seed. It's mathematically unlikely at this point. Actually, let's bring that up. 538 NFL predictions. There we go. 538. Got everything right except for the election. All right, so the Vikings currently have a 28% chance of winning the division. Now, that is likely going to have to include overtaking the Packers in record, because I think if it goes to tiebreakers, depending on how they shake out, I think the Packers have the edge right now. Jay Muno 020. I think Sluter plays today. Well, let's see if he's active. Let's see here. Lions inactives. It'd be so funny if Kyle Jerome, Ezekiel Sluter is active today. I mean, he would have to be active, wouldn't he? No, again, hey, Tim 20man of Lions.com, just make a list. Just make a list of the inactives instead of writing a 2 damn page diatribe about this. All right, so go to Twitter. Tim 20man. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that Sluter is the only other active quarterback on the roster besides David Blau. And Matthew Stafford is obviously not playing. So I think that he is. So we are one play away from Kyle. Yeah. All right. So Detroit Lions inactives. Stafford's out. Deshaun Hand is out. That's pretty big. Austin Bryant, Agnew, Jackson, Ibushi, as well as Bo Ben Schweisel, was an offensive lineman from Wisconsin who I liked in the draft. He's inactive as well. So, what's going on? All right. Again, if you want to fire up a little question in the super chat, that one will be sure to get answered in here. Otherwise, we're just going to pick and choose a little bit. 5 a.m. HFATs, how do you feel about Madison? I feel like Madison in the run game is just as physical as Dalvin Cook, maybe a little bit better, a little bit more power in between the tackles. Also, the dynamicness isn't quite there. He doesn't have that extra gear that Dalvin Cook just has in the open field, but I think he's underrated as a receiver. I think his pass blocking has come along, and I think the Vikings are really fortunate to grab him behind Dalvin Cook because it also gives them options. Like Dalvin is going to be coming up on a contract year. So do you pay him big running back money? It's tough because you look at the running back contracts that have been doled out recently. Gurley, David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, all flopped. You know, Zeke is still TBD. Zeke is living up to his money. So I don't know what happens, but Madison gives the Vikings options. I think Driscoll's on IR. David Bryant, I have bad vibes about this game. Yeah, it does have all the buildup, all the hallmarks of a letdown game, you know, just like the Denver game did, where, you know, you have a banged up Lions team, lowly Lions, not even no Matthew Stafford, but they still have Marvin Jones, who has been a Vikings / Xavier Rhodes killer, plus Kenny Galladay, and David Blau is no slouch too. I actually really like David Blau. I read there was a book, I forget what it's called. It was about the Elite 11 camp, that Trent Dilfer ran. David Blau was one of the high school kids coming out of it, and I was just really impressed the way that he, was humble, was confident, but was always looking to learn and get better and make those better around himself, because it can be a real mixed bag for highly recruited quarterbacks coming out of high school going into college, where a lot of them can be very aloof, a lot of them can be very self-centered, and those are two traits that just don't mesh well with being the quarterback of a football team. But David Blau just really, just from the print, I was really impressed. I liked his career at Purdue. I actually would have been down to clown if the Vikings brought him in as a UDFA or even like a late 7th round pick, which the Vikings had like 19 of them. So, but as you saw early on in the Bears game on Thanksgiving, that David Blau, he can sling it. He can sling it a little bit. Plus, he's a tough kid. Vikes Hike, Andy, smile. What's up? Let's see here. Mordecai, do you think Adam Thielen will be back for the Packers game? Well, I mean, that's 2 more weeks plus a day because it's on Monday night. I mean, I would hope so. Let's see. I was J Muno 20. How long does Zimmer have left if Vikings don't perform well these last few games? Well, my bar has always been just make the playoffs, but I think at this point, especially with the fastest start as the Vikings had, if they go 1 and done in the playoffs, I think still all bets are off. I think if they do win a playoff game, I think everyone is safe for another year. But also, I think that Spielman and Zimmer and Cousins are all tied at the hips together. It's like all right. So it'd be like a 4-legged race. So, Cousins obviously played well enough to be around next year. Plus, they had no choice because of his guaranteed contract with no trade clause. So I think that I don't. It depends how the season ends up. Like if they miss the playoffs, then I think Zimmer is probably a favorite to be fired. But if they make the playoffs or one and done, I think it's even money. And if they win a playoff game, I think he's near locked to be coming back. Little known prediction in the super chat. Kirk Cousins, best quarterback in the NFC North. I mean, it's pretty close. Objectively, you would have to say that Cousins has played better than Rodgers. I mean, Rodgers, I think, has had a couple higher highs against better competition, but also he's really cratered out in a number of games here this season. So I think Kirk Cousins, who, by the way, Kirk Cousins has outplayed Aaron Rodgers every time they hooked up, except for that last play in this season's game at Lambeau. But Kirk Cousins has been playing very impressive. I think he's playing like a top 5 quarterback in the league right now. And you just have to respect what he's done. Like Kirk Cousins was not the reason the Vikings lost in the Seattle game. Like there's a myriad of reasons why the Vikings gave that one up against Seahawks. Kirk was not among them. Kyle McAdans in the super chat. What's up, man? Choose one, Carter or Thielen on your dream team. That's tough. Well, I'm going to go CC, Chris Carter, because he is receiver of all time. Yeah, I said it. Screw you, Jerry Rice. All right, here's my top 3 receivers of all time: Randy Moss, Larry Fitzgerald, Chris Carter, and then some system wide receiver that played for the Niners. That's it. That is it. So top 3, all Minnesota ties. So I'm gonna take Chris Carter, especially because for a while, like CC was really carrying this team on his back. Remember, he had back-to-back 122 catch seasons with Warren Moon and Vikings offense at that time. Adam Thielen, took him a couple years to get going here in Minnesota. I think he still has a number of very good years left. He better since he got the contract extension. But I think that Chris Carter's peak is higher than Thielen, but also you do have recency bias built in. You do have, it's a different era in terms of the passing game, as well as Adam Thielen, what is a nice, cool, feel-good story where Chris Carter, I mean, I'll be honest, Chris Carter, a lot of people could see him being a bit of a aloof a-hole or a self-absorbed a-hole. I mean, that's for sure. But if you ever listen to any interview where he talks about himself or his Hall of Fame speech, CC loves him some CC. And Adam Thielen, of course, is like the nicest guy ever. So, all right, so here. Boxcar and Armand Watch will be playing all the time. Yes, agree. Brian Snyder asks, I wish we had Cord. Now, I'm guessing that's Cordero, but if he's just talking about Cord, like Epstein had a cord, nailed it. Hayden DeBar, how has Bradbury played recently? Actually going to do a video next week about how Garrett Bradbury has fared so far, because he out of the gate, he was not very good, but he got his feet under him, and the last couple weeks, he's really been a real pipe hitter. I'll look up his PFF numbers. Yes, I am not a robot. Log in. Oh, come on. Once robots figure this out, it's over. But I'm ready for the robot wars. Bring it on. Robots Can podcast. Oh, wait. They probably can. All right. Bradbury. Girl, you know it's true. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You're all through. All right. So Bradbury's, it's here. The last 5 weeks, he's put up his top 3 PFF grades thus far this season. Let's look at pressures allowed. So the last 3 weeks, he's only allowed 1 combined pressure. Juxtapose that to the first 4 weeks of the season, where he averaged or he totaled 14 pressures allowed and a sack. He has only given up 1 sack all season. So just by the eye test, as well as backing it up with the numbers here, like Garrett Bradbury's leaps and bounds improved so far. And frankly, if you draft a center 18 overall in the first round, you expect some growing pain, especially you do have a guy that was undersized coming in. He is the scheme fit, but also when he's up against some of the larger nose tackles in this league, Also more skill guys. Because remember, early on, he had all right, so he had Grady Jarrett Falcons. He had Kenny Clark, Kenny Clark of Green Bay. He got Jonathan Hankins of Oakland, and then Chicago. Akeem Hicks missed that game, except they still got lit up by the backups, like RRR, whatever his name is. But since the Chicago game, Bradbury's been really impressive outside of the Kansas City game. Just really good to see Garrett Bradbury come along. All right, let's do a couple more minutes, and then I gotta make my daughter some noodles before the game because she only likes it when I make the noodles for some reason. Also, she's very Asian. Taylor, is David Blau going to be the third backup quarterback to tear apart the secondary? Well, starters are tearing apart the secondary too, but you can go down the rabbit holes like, well, they're obviously tearing apart the Zimmer secondary because there's no film on a Chase Daniel or a Matt Moore or a David Bling Blang Blau. I wish more poker players were on the stream because then they'll get the Bling Blang Blau reference. Bling Blang Blau. I kind of miss poker. I should start a poker channel. Noah Breitenbach Dirks, do you think the Vikings would trade up to pick Chase Young? Well, they'd have to trade up to like 1 or 2 because I don't think he's getting out of that range. Let's see here. Swiffer Wet Chat, coming out party for BC Johnson Day. Well, the Detroit secondary is kind of ass, and I actually predicted the BC Johnson breakout game against Seattle, where I was in a tough spot in a fantasy league where. All right, so this league doesn't allow you to pick up free agents after noon kickoff on Sunday, which it's fine as long as you know that going in. So I didn't have any Monday night game guys. I wanted to hold out hope for Thielen, so I just picked up BC, and then I started him. He had like 1 catch or 2 yards. Whee! Good time. Let's see what else here. Aline Adkins, wow, the hate speech, Andy. I don't know, I had to think maybe I am spewing out hate speech like in a very weird way. Maybe I'm just dog whistling all of the activist hate groups out there, or maybe people are just soft, or maybe people are just haters. I don't really know. Yeah, but it was nice having the week out. I don't know if you can hear my kid. Also, so the Rocky poster is back because that's my son's name. It's not a Philly thing. Yeah. Let's see what else. Hanson asks, trade up for Trevor Lawrence next year, maybe. Go all in. All in. Zach Hazless, what is BC ceiling? Well, BC, he's a clean route runner. That's why I think he had a great advantage over Dylan Mitchell coming into camp. I think he's more explosive than we give him credit for. I think he's great in special teams. He's very willing to do that as the wide receiver 3, 4, 5. And I think that a couple years into the system, I think he could emerge as a diet Adam Thielen type or like a diet Stephon Diggs esque receiver. I'm not saying that his ceiling is that high, but if he pans out and becomes even like a Charles Johnson at his peak. I know that we have a sour taste with Charles Johnson, the way his career sort of fizzled out. But I mean, Charles Johnson greatly overachieved for a 7th round pick coming out of Grand Valley State. I want to say. Also, I think he was drafted by the Packers, Charles Johnson. But yeah, I think that's BC, like Charles Johnson plus. Remember, Charles Johnson started the number of games here with the Vikings, but maybe that's not a compliment. All right. We'll do 2 more. Time for 2 more. LS Gregor, do you think there's a future for Chad Beebe with this team? Well, he can't stay healthy, but he does practice well. So that's why Zimmer has such a hard on for him, which I never really got. So you had a guy who in Chad Beebe, nice kid, but he wouldn't have gotten a chance if he didn't have a famous dad who also played the league. Also, you have a kid who played in Northern Illinois, so lower college level, and he didn't put up major stats there either as a returner or as a receiver. And then you just plop him in here. He does well in practice. I mean, respect. He was a UDFA tryout. He worked his way up. Eventually made the rooster. But then it was just like he was just handed the job. He was just like handed the wide receiver 3 job. No, I don't see it. I don't like that entitlement. Jason Warlick, is Kyle Rudolph, last one, is Kyle Rudolph a top 5 tight end? Well, he's playing like one the last couple weeks. Also, I think that's if you play fantasy football, though, you know that there's just a dearth of tight end talent right now. It's like it's Kelsey, it's Kittle, it's Mark Andrews, and there's everyone else. Hell, let's do one more. Zaire Wallace, should we go for Devontae Parker after this year? No, whoever signs Teddy. Did you know that Teddy and Devontae played in college together? Yeah. Call back to a joke from back in the day. All right. That is it. That is the Purple for the Win Vikings-Lions pregame show. We didn't really talk much about the game, but enjoyed hanging out with the drums in the chat. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to do all that stuff. Also, to avoid us going back to jail, follow us on Twitch as well as Facebook. We'll have the links in the description down below. But we'll see you at halftime. Skull production value. Stop stream.